Okay. All right. Oh my gosh. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our next painting collection of 2022. Sorry for this delay. I made it. I'm here. It was just not pleasant, but thank you for being here. Hopefully you started kind of like sketching. I prepped something. I didn't have time to print out the image, but I'm just gonna have my iPad. I'm gonna do it from the iPad, from the iPad this time. So always embracing new challenges. Today is like February 18, Friday, February 18, 2022. And is it the last day of the month? I can't believe it. I think, is it? No. What day is today? What am I doing? Today is not the 28th. It's the 18th. Okay, never mind. All right, so I didn't have time to print anything. So Kian, I told the story to Kian last night, and he was fascinated, and he was very intrigued. He appreciated the fact that there were so many takes on the story, and then he showed me some images that he used to take when we traveled together. We stopped traveling a while ago for many reasons, but during a period of time we were pretty much taking every single opportunity we had to go out there and travel. Hi Jen, how are you?
Hi. Hi, everybody.
Thanks so much, and sorry about this, but yeah, I was kind of like introducing my subject, which is going to be Kian laying down on a Parisian floor outside on the street. I think I'm going to be able to send this to the folder, but yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead, and I'm working from my iPad. So let me see if I can. No, that's fine. Let me see if I can do this. Yeah, so because I don't have the same or a similar image, or an image that I usually do, I print out the same format or similar format. I'm using a rectangular format, portrait orientation. I was interested in one of the images that I took of him, actually, just because it was vertical. And I thought, this laying flat, the first thought would be sort of like doing it landscape-like, which I would have. But when I saw this image, I thought it was perfect for many reasons. The support, the setup in the studio. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So since I don't have the opportunity to create horizontal alignments to sort of like measure, this time it's just going to be a little bit more freehand. And this could be a great way of winging it and in a different way. So
Leo, I don't know if I maybe it's just me that's the problem, but the thumbnail is of the painting and you are the big image. Is that a me problem? Okay, awesome. It could have been a me problem, but I just wanted to make sure.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I just got
yeah.
Cool. And then this is like, I'll upload it later, but this is the image that I'm going to use.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Always some drama.
I was gonna say very dramatic.
But yeah, this was we went to the famous Parisian cemetery where so many famous people are buried, but
Jim Morrison, is that one of them?
Yes, and also, gosh, Dorian Gray, author. I don't know, not right now. But yeah, it was really interesting. So figure drawing. So what I'm gonna do is actually I'm setting up the top and the bottom. I want enough space. So compositionally, I just want to make sure that I don't get anything too close to any edges. And then this is the perfect opportunity to practice stick figures. So Oscar Wilde, that's right. Amazing, amazing tomb, or yeah, it was incredible. It's such a powerful place. I mean, it's the there's a pilgrimage. I think people, a lot of like bohemian artistic people, just go to that cemetery to pay homage or tribute to their idols, I guess, or people that are famous. So it's one of those Parisian tourist attractions that doesn't get a lot of traction because it's not necessarily a pretty place. But I like cemeteries, so I am trying to work with like stick figure structure first, and what I'm looking for is mostly what I'm looking for is making sure that I don't make the torsos too elongated and the feet or the legs too short. So I feel like there's a tendency to spend more time in torsos or on torsos, drawing torsos. We lose a sense of composition. We forget that we have a specific space to fit the figure or to give enough room to the figure. And then we get sort of like engaged with the torso, with the shoulders, with the neck, with the head. And then naturally there's this inertia to expand what we work on first, and then boom, we have no room for legs. So knowing that that's always been the case for me, and we see it like frequently, I just do the stick figure to make sure that I try to avoid that. And already I feel like, you know, my legs are not long enough. There's also this sense, from my point of view, and this figure, there's a sense that there's a foreshortening, and that's something that maybe could be a good way to reflect on. Not only we should be able to observe and deconstruct the figure that we have as reference, but position yourself on the shoes, on the feet of the person who took that image. See yourself behind the camera and try to find out the height of the point of view, the distance of the point of view to the figure, any kind of like distortion that may happen because of that flat figure and upright point of view. I think this is going to be something that we could just bring into our translation and perhaps even exaggerate it. So I know that Kion's head, I made it a little bit too big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. So for starters, I'm going to try to, oh, if you want, Jen, there's I didn't put it on the folder, but there's this famous painting, I think it was a Renaissance painting, of the figure of Jesus, almost like totally naked, except for a very small, tiny piece of fabric on his thing. But it's so foreshortened. It's just like really crazy because the entire figure is like really tiny, but the point of view is really exaggerated, and I don't know if that's giving you enough information. But
do you know who the artist is?
No, I think Mantegna, but maybe it's not Mantegna.
Okay, let me look.
But very foreshortened Christ painting that broke convention big time. I'm going to try to exaggerate also. And Was it not Klimt? Not Monk, not Klimt, but Egon Schiele. I forgot to do a little bit of research on Egon Schiele and find out if there were any reclining, because I think he was really good at bringing some or depicting people laying down.
And probably Lucian Freud too, yeah?
Lucian Freud, yeah, maybe also. I tried to kind of like bring images. Yeah.
I'm sure you did a great job. I haven't looked at the
No. I think that's, yeah.
I have the painting you just described.
Who's the?
You're right. It is Mantegna.
Oh, really? Oh my God.
I Googled foreshortened painting of Christ and it came up.
Okay, well, I feel so good right now.
Good. You should. Lamentation of Christ.
Okay, yeah, maybe I'm not able to. Oh, thanks. I just see. I'm not able to switch the camera back and forth, but I know.
You did great.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, Egon Schiele. Now available at Walmart.
Yes, you want to talk about it?
Oh, we could talk about it later.
But it's really interesting. Yeah. So let me just do a quick view of the. And I'm working on linear stuff. So I'm gonna catch up with that. And oh my gosh, it's such a really crazy image, isn't it? Let me see here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so this is the image. And people, there was an uproar when this was painted and shown to the public. The public kind of like thought this was ridiculous because people did not see the optical illusion. And they thought that the artist painted Jesus as a little person instead of like a reclining or laying flat person. So they thought that he actually just made a caricature of Jesus and kind of like made the legs super short and the torso super. They didn't get the illusion. Some people. So it was really, it was not very well received, this painting. But yeah, so if you notice, this doesn't. It's not what I thought because it doesn't quite follow the rules of optical perspective or whatever we would call this, because the head is probably on this painting a lot bigger than the feet proportionately. So the feet, based on this really extreme rendition or foreshortening, should have been much larger than the head. So I'm going to try to do that on this painting and see if I can just exaggerate the feet a little bit more. Okay, so other things that this would be good to consider are any parallel lines, any lines that feel stiff. I'm going to look for lines that create a very stiff figure, because even with the Mantegna version, there is a lot of retorted joints and drama and mannerism in the way the figure is inert, I guess, or a corpse. But let me just go back. It's a corpse, but it's one of the most expressive corpses in the way the hands and even the feet are kind of like, look at the fingers on the hand on the right, you know, they're trapped with the folds of the fabric. So there's a great, the muscle structure on the shoulders, it's almost kind of like distorted as well. And the foreshortened on the arm on the left side, it's really discombobulated in a way. So there is a little bit of like discombobulation that I feel like I'm gonna try to exaggerate with this image. So I'm gonna really put the belt all the way high up, and then I'm gonna make the shoes much bigger. Much bigger. I wanna see if that kind of like makes it. So flickering my eyes back and forth. I think so. Yeah, I'm so happy that I did the legs. I left much more room on the legs. And I'm gonna start, just because the linear aspects could be a little bit tricky in creating an image that may be too confronting. I'm gonna start already moving to shading. Sometimes it's a good idea to bring in that. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna block the darks. I think that's good. Yeah, and leave the hand a little bit. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with the cobblestone for now, but I'm just going to try to. So there were a lot of, yeah, I'm liking it already. There were a lot of like sculptures in the. Okay, Jen, I don't know if you wanna, I think you've been there, and I think you know this in Paris, that in the cemetery, there's a famous sculpture of a writer, and there are images, this is a little bit, of people that go there with very skimpy clothes, and they make out with the bronze sculpture on the ground. I don't remember the name of the writer, but there are many photos of fans of the writer who just go there in underwear, and then they just make out with a dead figure. I mean, that was like I think the sculpture was made after he passed away. So the way the sculpture lays flat on his grave, it's supposed to represent a corpse. I don't know if you'll be able to find it, but let me know if you do, because the images are hilarious and confronting. And I have images, I took photos and of that figure. And I just found it so fascinating, so French, dark and Plutonian and erotic and interesting. So yeah, maybe, yeah, I mean, I'm just crossing the line, obviously, because there were so many aspects that we wanted to be specific about this, non-objectifying figures, because there is such an excess of naked figures, and especially like female figures, that this is not what we wanted to do. We wanted to sort of like visualize someone who would be dressed or as if they were going to work, or as if they were going to go out to buy something, and then all of a sudden they were laying on the street. There's something about intimacy and non-intimacy, and I think with this laying flat, it's the fact that people were performing an intimate action in a non-intimate space, outside on factories or offices or even at home. So I think removing that erotic aspect makes this much more of a protest. And after I'm saying that, this is the reason why I say I'm crossing the line, because the examples that I'm bringing up, obviously, even the Mantegna Jesus, you know, they don't have that aspect of rest, or maybe they do, like eternal rest, a different kind of rest. if you want to add this to the list, because this is one of the most fascinating unknown paintings by, I think it was Monet. I'm not sure if it's Monet or Manet, but one of them depicted their wives. Was it their wives or their mothers when they died? They just kind of like pulled out the canvas, and then the corpse was on the bed, and then they just created a painting. And one of them is so incredible.
It's a life-size painting of their mother or wife, Leo?
Yeah, I think it's, I believe it's the wife, and I think it's probably Manet, but I'm not sure. I think it was Manet.
Okay. And then for the cemetery, did you want me to pose? I found the grave or the sculpture. My God. But did you want me to pose people on it as well?
No.
Okay. Because there's plenty of
let everyone kind of like do their own discovery.
Okay, there you go.
Just the grave, the sculpture.
The sculpture alone, you'll be able to tell what has happened. Oh my.
Yeah, very, very interesting. It was filled with flowers. They put flowers in the pocket. It was like really charming, you know, when I saw it for the first time and only time. And I was saying when you came in that there was a period of time when Kian and I took every opportunity we had to travel as much as possible. We don't do that anymore, but there was a time that Kian he took the opportunity to take photographs. He loves photography, and he wanted to do this series of him laying flat on different locations, not the typical photograph of, okay, I'm here, hello, but sort of like laying flat. And he showed me a few of them, and this was one of them. Doesn't look like anything, just cobblestone. But and I totally forgot about that. I forgot about that one. Maybe there was something subconscious already about this idea of abandonment and refusal to comply. Maybe, I'm thinking we could talk about it. I'll just mention it during lunchtime and see if that was okay. I think that's okay. I think I'm just I'm spending a little bit of extra time. Yeah, I'm gonna start staining in just a little bit, but I just wanted to make sure that my lines were not excessively parallel or stiff, and that's why I'm trying to exaggerate. I think this hand, I'm going to extend this hand. Sometimes we make things a little bit too short. I see it short, but I feel like I need to exaggerate the hand a little bit more. I don't know, maybe not. I'll just make it a little bit in between, not that long. And not too many lines. Okay, so I'm going to talk about two things that are extremely important, more than any details about the clothing, the hair, the facial features, none of that. So two extremely important principles that we should pause and reflect and see how we can represent them. Number one is the point of contact. Number two is the light direction. Point of contact and light direction. Forget about the figure looking this or that. None of this matters. Find out where that figure, what are the contact points between the figure and the ground or the floor or the couch or the bed or wherever the figure is laying. Because those points are going to be really essential. So and also find out about the light direction. If you're lucky and the figure has like a very specific direction of light, you will see that the combination between light direction and point of contact will give you a shadow that will create the illusion of the figure actually being on the ground. So in my case, otherwise this looks like already maybe someone dancing or doing sort of like a photo shoot. But I want this to look, my challenge is that I have a format that it's vertical. So already I'm forced to create that illusion more so. So I know that the light direction comes from that side. So I'm going to try to darken this area. I'm going to try to darken the area right underneath or between the feet and right here. And see automatically already just a little bit of shadow, not too much. And this, I think for now, I'm gonna clean this up because I need to create a contrast. But already it just gives me a little bit of the illusion of this figure. This needs to be super clean. This figure having, never mind, or being on the floor. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with a cobblestone, but I'm going to clean this light direction again, very important. Sometimes we get too caught up with representational stuff, and I think so. I think that could be a good. There's a little bit of a darker area. Yeah, every single. I'm gonna stop right here because there were a lot of there are a lot of things that I want to do, but I feel like I could just continue doing them with the brush. Yeah, very good. And maybe a little bit of a shadow right here. Step back, pause, point of contact, light direction, where are your cast shadows? They're not everywhere. They're in certain spots. Maybe in some spots, there's light going through. So the variation between lights and shadows, and it doesn't take a lot of work. It's just a few strategic touches that could reinforce the idea of the figure being flat on the floor. I am, in the meantime, I just have the palette that I didn't put the colors. So I'm just gonna build my palette. And in the meantime, I'm just gonna go to the folder as I just built the palette and see, see what you added, Jen. Hold on a second, here we go. I'm gonna do this and then I'm gonna get ready for the imprimatura of my painting. So here we go. So just getting the palette ready and then at the same time, just doing a refresh. And oh, amazing images already. That's wonderful. Oh yes, Jen, absolutely. Oh, you're brilliant. Thank you for.
I'm gonna come here more often.
Thank you for picking a illusion for. Oh Jesus, I think we should do this. Okay,
Yes.
I'm gonna go for it.
Finding a Lucian Freud that was not nude was a challenge.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to
Same with
micromanage
Egon.
anything.
Yeah, Egon
you
should do that same thing. Yep.
Anyhow, this is like a scandalous image, you guys. Get ready for it. But this is the sculpture of the writer in Paris. If you've been there, you know, and if you haven't been there, just add it to your list because it's a very interesting place in the city. But yeah, many pockets where people put flowers, and then many rubbed areas. The lips are all rubbed. You could see the bronze that is not green in the areas that the sculpture gets. What's the, oh, you added it. Okay, perfect. Life-size effigy of Victor Noir, a French journalist who was shot dead by Prince Pierre Bonaparte. He was the nephew of Napoleon III, III and was shot after getting caught in the middle of an altercation between Bonaparte and Pascal Grousset, the editor of the newspaper Noir. Noir was working for at the time. Sorry, I'm just making a mess. The popular saying, "Don't shoot the messenger," comes to mind. Oh, I thought it was like something. Yeah, I wonder why people are so erotically attracted to this image. But this is this one I've never seen. Oh, Monk. Yes, Edward Monk. Right.
Yeah, he had quite a few.
Yeah. Wow.
This
Amazing.
was the most streamlined of just her.
Wow.
And it was his, yeah, it's dead mother.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's his dead mother, but it says the dead mother.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that landscape. Yeah. And this is the Monet. I always thought this painting is just so intriguing and dark, but beautiful.
Absolutely.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like such an interesting portrait. Thank you, Jen. Yeah, and
Sure.
also the Lucian Freud. That's a really nice image of two people. This is like what we kind of like wanted in a way. Yeah, taking a nap, and I think this idea of the nap ministry by this Black writer that she started to recapture or reclaim freedom through the power of taking naps and thinking of ancestors that were not given the opportunity to rest. I thought it was a really interesting way of using laying down and napping and history. But yeah, this is kind of like, this is an interesting image, really very unusual, I would say, for Lucian Freud, maybe. I don't know how he did this, because, you know, maybe he just had them like this for months and months, wearing the same clothes. All right, so I think I am done with my colors, and I am going to go ahead and do my wash. Perfect. Thanks, Jen, so much for sharing these incredible images.
My pleasure.
And all right, so big brush. So maybe you can also help me here, because I'm doing a test, Jen, and everyone, please, it's just, don't worry, nothing's gonna happen. So Kian got some hairspray for his hair, and then I was wandering through the aisles and I needed to buy something. And I remember that some artists, they use mineral oil as oil to put the brushes in, not for painting. Mineral oil is not good for painting because it's non-drying. So essentially it never dries. Mineral oil always, it never dries. That's why it's such a great moisturizer, I guess, because it really creates a barrier. It doesn't get absorbed, it doesn't oxidate, it doesn't do anything. So some painters swear by it to clean brushes. It's very liquid, and you can, it feels like water almost. You can really clean the brush because it pulls all the, and you can also use it if you don't want to clean the brush, you can just use it in your sludge jar. Anyhow, so if you, I found like a couple of posts, Jen, but if you can see if that's a big no-no or not, using mineral oil to keep, I know that you have to clean it really well because you cannot mix that oil with paint. But the thing about putting a solvent in your sludge jar is that the solvent will evaporate. And I've done, over the course of many years, I've had jars that had Gamsol, and then the Gamsol just went away, summertime or whatever. And then I just discovered this crusty, dry bunch of beautiful brushes, completely unrecoverable. So I used to do that, and then I switched. I never used Gamsol again to keep the brushes. I don't like to clean the brushes with soap just because I think having them in oil, we do it like with our sessions just because we have to travel with them and we need to clean them. But if you have them in the studio, mineral oil could be a great substitute for Gamsol or solvent. Okay, so I'm gonna go darker to lighter. I'm gonna make a huge mess right now. So I'm doing the Imprimatura. Close your eyes and don't think. Not close your eyes, but metaphorically. Don't think about this step. Don't think about how much work you've done, how what it looks like, how developed or underdeveloped it is. Just go for it. Big blocks or color fields, we used to kind of like, we call these like color field step, I guess. So I'm flickering my eyes back and forth. I'm going darker to lighter. I think that's also very important. Pause. Don't rush. What else? I wish I had some Payne's Gray. I haven't used Payne's Gray in a long time because chromatic black has been so amazing. But I don't have Payne's Gray here, so I'm just gonna use a tad of blue, ultramarine.
If you have the suitcase, it's in there, babe.
Yeah, I don't have it here.
Okay.
I have a little different briefcase. Yeah. Okay, it's not gonna happen. So that's okay. I'm gonna just use a little bit of our blue, the light blue. I just want to create a little bit of a distinction. Oops. Between the dark of the denim that the figure is wearing and the black on the coat, which I like. And I'm going to use like some color, maybe just a little bit of the yellow ochre. I was driving and then I just came into the building, and before I came, one of the people working here was walking his dog, and then he said, "Hey, I watched your presentation yesterday." I was like, "What?"
Oh my gosh.
I was like running and I couldn't stop and say, "So what did you think?" But he said, "I really liked it," just like that, and then I just drove away. But it was so funny. I have to, after the session, I'm just gonna submit this person to an interrogatory and find out.
We just never know who's watching.
I know, right? Yeah, so that was really neat. Yeah, it was really neat. So, okay, so I'm just kind of like doing some with ecru solvent. I'm using solvent right now, so, and I'm trying to kind of like block or build a bit of a shape. Okay, that's good. And then for the background, I think I'm just gonna do gray for now. Yeah, taupey gray already has a little bit of the raw umber. And this is a lot of purple, but for now. Yeah, just remember the mission. The goal of Imprimatura is just to lay down a wet layer. And also seal the charcoal a little bit. So we can just work wet on wet when we start building. So I'm not trying to be too specific or anything. This is too brown, but because the photograph is a little bit more purple. I won't be able to do any color testing with the sheet, but again, this would be a great challenge. This is a little bit lighter. So I know that the background, in fact, I'm starting to think that I know how I'm going to tackle this, this painting. And I'll explain in a minute. But for now, I just want to, I'm trying not to add white. And just making a huge mess. Mess. I'm not even cleaning the brush right now. Total mess. Mess is good. Use the rag. The rag is our friend. Slowly blurring this. Okay. All right. Okay, got it. So I think that's my Imprimatura, and that puts us on the before the first hour. So we're gonna run this until 1:15, if that works, just so we have 2 hours of recording also. So and you don't have to do anything if you can't stay, but yeah, we want to make sure that we complete the whole full 2 hours. So considering that we started 15 minutes later, so I'm not even halfway through. So I have 15 minutes and I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to I'm going to start thinking about strategy. And also I'm going to start thinking about first color notes. So we're going to do first color notes and second color notes. But for this, I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to work on the peripheral areas. I'm not going to work on the figure right now. I think the figure has a lot going on its favor. So I'm not going to work on it because I feel like I'm going to get much more impact and work done if I just work on the street. So I'm going to do two things. So first color notes are so important, so crucial, so vital for developing the painting. We're doing two main things with first color notes. Number one, we are reworking the edges. Those color fields that we implemented during that Imprimatura, we are going to set them down. We're going to define them a little bit. We're going to do a lot of wet drawing. So that's part of like the next step after we sort of like set the wet layer. The second thing that we're going to do is we're going to start exploring, creating, manifesting our color palette. So this will be an opportunity to get some specific color directions. And we want to make sure that we leave that definition wide, because we're not going to get caught up, entangled, thinking if the color that we made matches or doesn't match, because we don't have time to deliberate anything at this point. Color direction means an open range that we can identify, and that creates a processed, increasingly processed palette. All right, so I'm going to switch the brush, or maybe I won't switch the brush. So in regards to the background, so I know that I have to bring other colors. So I'm gonna do something. Actually, I'm gonna do something, you guys, that I'm gonna stop this view. I'm gonna stop this view. I'm a mess. And for 1 second, because there is an app that I'm gonna use right now. So I'm gonna do a little bit of like techie stuff. First, I am officially downloading this image from Instagram. That's number one. So I'm gonna eat up a little bit of that time that I have. Here we go. Boom. And then I use an app called Repost to download that image to my phone when I download it. I can't because it's private media. Okay, never mind. All right, so I'm gonna do a screenshot. If I can. Okay, I got it. And then I just want to show you an app that I use. It's called what? Color Inspiration Tool. Color Inspiration Tool. I have a folder in my phone called Art folder, and I have different apps that help me do several things. And I have a few apps that help me find out about color. So this app, what it does, you can upload any image that you may have. And then if you just point at any part of the image, it's just gonna give you the name of the color, the hue of the color, and different versions of the color. So I just wanted to find out the cobblestone. I wanted to find out exactly what kind of neutral tone, and I'm getting like different area, different lavenders. There's some artichoke color right there. There's some aluminum. So there's a little bit of this mauve, violet, Chinese silver. Okay, so I know what I need to do now. So I'm just gonna go back to this. The rest that doesn't really matter. Here we go. The rest meaning the rest of the colors. Because I just wanted to capture the coolness of here we go. Okay. It's a great app if you love color and you try to learn versions of colors and find variations of colors. It's a great app, because sometimes our color vocabulary, it's not super vast, at least mine, as much as I always try to expand it. And this app kind of like helps me. So I have like an idea right now. I'm gonna start using the other brush, maybe the medium, or yeah. There we go. Maybe I need to use the mineral oil. Were you able to find any mineral oil, baby oil, as a cleaning tool?
So, yes, this is what I found. It says, excuse me, paint should not be painted with any oil that is not dry. Mineral oil is not dry, so it is suitable for babies. If you use baby or mineral oil to clean your brushes, you should make sure that they are thoroughly washed with soap and warm water before using them. Paint with it would not work. then it says for oil-based paint, stains, and varnishes, soak the bristles in a cup of mineral spirits or paint thinner in a well-ventilated space for a few minutes. Always comb the bristles downward to help keep the proper brush form. Repeat until the bristles are clean. So it seems like you can do it, but then you just want to make sure that you maybe do just like a quick soak in soapy water or something.
I gotta tell you, I'm gonna bring the bottle, Jen,
Yeah.
because I just had a brush that was totally messed up, dry from a few days,
Mm-hmm.
and I just used the mineral, the baby oil.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh my
So
gosh, incredible.
yeah. So it does really clean, I have to say.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. And it's not, yeah, it's not expensive because sunflower oil. I used sunflower oil for the jar,
Mm-hmm.
but that could be. And when I say expensive, you could just spend like $10, and then baby oil you spend $3 instead.
Yeah, a couple bucks. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's petroleum, so maybe it's not great, but it's amazing. Amazing. It's amazing. Super soft right now. And I kind of like, I didn't wash it, but it's gonna be fine.
Should I tell everyone my favorite?
Your favorite?
what I love to wash with?
Oh, yes.
I need to actually go downstairs and read the ingredients to you guys because I'm not sure. It could also be petroleum. Who knows?
It's a disaster for the
It's
environment.
yeah, totally. Okay, so I think it's called like Zote or something, Zote. Yeah. And it is a pink laundry soap that I've only found it at Smart and Final. And my husband's laughing at me right now because I swear by this soap for everything. I wash my carpets with it. We're about to wash Carl's hat with it. It's amazing.
Request, though,
yeah.
That's how much.
But it smells incredible. But anyway, it's this pink. It looks like a bar soap, and it, like I said, it's in the laundry section at Smart and Final. It's $1. And I'm not even sure if it's soap. I'm really not sure what it is, but it is.
No clue.
It's unclear, but it is my favorite way to wash brushes. It doesn't require much. You can even make soapy water with it if you don't want to use the soap directly. But I tend to use it directly, and then I just reshape the brushes. But it gets every little piece of everything out, acrylic, oil, everything. And yes, Laura, yes, I think it is a Mexican soap because Julio and I looked at like partnering up with them.
Oh my gosh.
So you pronounce the E, Zote. Yes. Okay, Lau's gonna elaborate later.
Oh
And I will take a picture of it and post it to our Google Pics so you guys can see my obsession. But
it's amazing.
It's amazing.
If you want a soap that removes oil, there's nothing better.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Julie thought I was gonna use it on my face. I mean, honestly, Julie, I probably would. That's how much I love it.
I don't know. No, don't. Emergency room after that.
That's probably true. That's like the one place you can't use it.
If it goes into your eyes, it's just gonna burn your.
For real. But it's good. It's good for spot cleaning, you guys. I washed an entire rug with it. Laura's laughing at us, but yeah, it's pretty amazing. Yeah, exactly. So she said you use it on everything, like washing your masks. It's exactly what I use to wash our cloth mats. Yes. Okay, I feel so validated. But you can use the combination of the baby oil and this pink soap, and so it's $4 total.
Yeah.
The end. Okay, back to painting.
No, that's good. Yeah, because this is I mean, we constantly try to explore and change, and and listen and learn from other artists and stuff. So the mineral oil was something that we read that we had no idea, and then some people used it, and then I wasn't sold just because it's petroleum, whatever, blah blah blah. But the other day I just said, okay, let me just give it a try, and I have to say I was blown away. I was blown away. Um, really good, and keeps the brushes completely wet through weeks and weeks and weeks. I mean, I just tried it like maybe like 3 weeks ago, I should say. But right now, I had a brush that was super gunky, and it just removed everything in no time. And also, I don't even know how we just stumbled upon the Zote. So Jen, do you remember? I think I bought something from Smart and Final, and I bought it, or someone gave it to us. I don't know.
Right. I can't remember either. I think maybe I don't know if this was years ago. I think that I at the time was doing crafty and working at artworks in the art studio. And so I was at Smart and Final all the time and just picked it up, I think, because I needed some a soap for doing brushes. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't remember. I think it was certainly we stumbled. We just, no one told us that this was good for this.
No, absolutely not. It was totally our own discovery, and it was phenomenal because it's 99 cents. And it's I remember when we teamed up with that one place, that was incredible. It was like half was it charcoal, half clay or something like that?
Yeah, that never materialized, but yeah, we had like an opportunity to. It didn't materialize for several reasons.
Right.
Yeah, because there wasn't a partnership right there. I think it was just okay, just give us I don't know, it wasn't financially, we were not equal.
Yeah, evidently. I mean, I wonder now, I don't even know if they still exist, but now if they would, of course, be more open to it. But yeah, at the time.
Maybe, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if that place is open or not. But yeah, essentially, we had many talks. If I'm going to kind of like mention it, we had many talks. There's a place that makes mother and daughter started this business of creating soaps and then beauty products that were natural. And we met them at the farmers market in Hollywood, and super lovely. I used to buy candles from them, and Kian used to buy soaps. And then they opened a brick and mortar in Glassell Park. And then they started gaining a lot of followers, like really, I think now they have a place in Texas where they actually produce the soaps, Jen.
Oh, amazing. It's No Tox, right? No Tox?
No Tox Live, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're really, really super smart, and really, with great experience and with huge vision. So we approached them and they said, hey, we're just constantly struggling to find good soaps that are good for the environment. We know that Zote can really blow up the entire, but we wanted something a little bit more sustainable and environmentally, okay. And they said, no problem. And we did several formulations. We told them by experience, and they created a soap. And then we got to the point where, okay, so we're just gonna make it. But there was never a talk about you're gonna get 1 cent or you're gonna get 5 cents. It was like, okay, kind of like, okay, we're gonna put your name on it or something like that.
Right.
And I was like, okay.
Right.
I mean, we're nice, but
right, but I mean,
I don't know. Look, I don't know. We certainly didn't intend to become
be
millionaires.
swindled. Yeah.
But it didn't feel like a collaboration.
No.
I don't know. And then sort of like things drifted.
Well, Sarah Brosher said that the brick and mortar in Glassell Park has changed and not sure if it's just a rename or if they closed and something else took over the space. Yeah, because that was a really small space there too.
But they rented that almost like kiosk. It was a kiosk in a
Yeah.
and they also rented offices and storage in the
Mhm.
building next to it. So they started expanding. They had staff. It was a major production at some point. It was really, I mean, and they started to gain like a lot of followers and
Yeah. It's the concept alone. I saw once something similar, and actually, now that I know that they're in Texas, it could be the actual company. But I saw something similar in Denver, where it was also like a kiosk
oh,
in like a, I don't know how to describe it. Sort of like a converted warehouse that's now like a mall, and it has, you know, like coffee shops and like, you know, small businesses. Anyway, they had something similar, and you know, you went with your glass bottles and you refilled them, very much like the same idea as No Talks. And I love that concept of, you know, sustainability and going straight to the source, and like it's such a beautiful concept. I hope that they're thriving wherever they may
I
be.
don't know. I don't know. I haven't seen. I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out. But then we went back to our good old Zote soap. We never, but and we just finished all the samples that they did for us, soap samples, which were really good.
They were really good. They were
Okay.
really good.
So I think I'm done with the background. I just wanted to get a direction of color. And I think I'm ready now to start first color notes on the figure. So my eyes already see more, because I thought this was only black, but it's not black. It's sort of like a cold black, but it has different shades. So it's so important that we slow down when we observe something, because by experience, we're not going to see everything at once. Our eye and our mind takes a while in order to make or a full account of what's going on. So I'm gonna try to create a code, and I'm gonna do it one more time and see if I can ivory black here. So funny that I totally abandoned Payne's Gray here in the studio. So that is not good, but I'm not gonna, yeah, I think, oh man. It got really stuck. Okay, I haven't used ultramarine here in such a long time. Oh, I have another ultramarine. Yay. Okay. That's the problem with tubes. If you don't use the tube for a long time, the cap gets stuck. Okay, got it. The oil oxidizes and then it gets really stuck. So it's almost like beautiful that if you didn't use the tubes, they shut down. There's something really beautiful about that. I mean, it almost makes you feel, you know, like you have to use them. Otherwise, they will not be useful at all. So I'm gonna try to create color samples. Actually, this is a great color for denim for the pants. So let me see. I'm gonna go darker to lighter using the oil. I'm using a combination of oils, not the solvent. And I'm gonna try to just build the darker areas of the denim where the Yeah, I think that's good. And then also, Jen, quick question. Can you bring the images from the studio time of that Russian painter that we talked
Yes.
about? Yeah, because
Into this one?
yeah,
You got it.
especially the one with the full figure of the male figure.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a sitting figure, but it's really abstract.
Yes, you got it.
Yeah, because I think that could be a good example to explain how to approach this.
Oh my gosh, you can treat poison ivy with this soap.
Oh my gosh.
Also, Laura found it in minis and they're really cute. And I feel like that we should give them out to our painters.
She found them where?
Then in mini form. Like tiny little guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're really cute. Okay, I'll stop obsessing.
Okay, so I'm just gonna. I'm gonna bring this. I'm trying to do it darker first, so I think that's okay. And also, I think I'm just gonna bring some desaturated burnt sienna. I need to bring the belt down a little bit. Yeah, certainly the belt needs to come down. This is a little bit too odd. Okay, I'm just gonna share. Thanks, Jen. I'm gonna share.
It's a little lost in there. It's kind of toward, it's in the middle. It didn't save directly to the bottom.
Okay. All right. I found it. So this is a contemporary Russian painter. I think he's very young. And he, what we found is that, and specifically in Russia,
We're not seeing it, Julio, just so you know.
I'm sorry?
We're not seeing it,
Oh, yeah,
just
yeah,
so
yeah.
you know. Sorry, I didn't know if, okay.
No, you're right. Yes. So they're trying to establish a bridge between traditional painting approach and contemporary modern versions. And I love Russian painters because kind of like they took on the European tradition, but they went rogue on their own and they just made it better in the sense of like they were very original conceptually and visually and created very rich, opulent, over the top paintings. This new generation and art schools in Russia, from what we know, they pretty much teach by the method. You know, they're very much anchored in this European tradition of representation. But contemporary artists, they're trying to break from that convention and incorporate more personal elements. So there's a wave of contemporary Russian painters that are anchored in realism, but they are trying to open it up. And this particular painter, I brought it up a few times just because I like how he represents reality without going too much into detail. And we talked about this painting the other day. And in fact, this could be like a part of our series. But notice how the brushstrokes are not overworked. They're not super stiff. They're not even polished or with the intention of being like very polished. And it works out. There's a lot of canvas that you can see through the brushstrokes. There are gaps. Yeah, the palette is not excessively processed. You don't see a huge range of colors. I mean, black, gray, and raw umber, essentially. So they're not excessively processed, but it creates a very expressive effect. So I think going into our work, think of how you could interact in a way that doesn't excessively overwork what you have. Being open to creating underdeveloped areas and just bringing some detail in a very spotty, messy way. I also feel like this is a great way to pay homage to oil as a medium, because you could truly see that the lusciousness of oil comes almost first before what's represented. You know, this is not acrylic. You couldn't just do this in acrylic and get this immediate intimate effect that it's so random and all over the place. So anyhow, we just brought this as sort of like visual reference and inspiration on how to embrace, rather than we're not trying to say that we need to paint like that. It's impossible to paint like someone else. It doesn't matter who. Each one of us has a very specific style that it's uncopyable, whatever that word is. So there's no sense in trying to replicate someone else's style. It's a waste of time. We need to expand on our own. But at the same time, there is a reason why we should look into other painters and try to articulate a way of embracing the medium and the brushstrokes and the level of representation that could infuse, inform, and be projected on our own practice. So don't worry too much about what we can do and how we can replicate. It's not the point. Embrace certain elements of this approach, anchored in tradition, but very much contemporary. So I am just gonna try to bring that aspect as well. So yeah. So this is a big weekend for LA, art-wise. There are a lot of art fairs that are landing in LA, and it's always, it's a great opportunity, but I only went to one, and I don't think I'm gonna go to the other two. So I wanna say there are four major opportunities. Frieze is the most famous one. I think they're not doing it in the Paramount Studios anymore. I think they're doing it in Santa Monica. It's a very famous art fair, very big, that started in London and then has a really big satellite fair in New York. It's super commercial, booga bugs, blue chip galleries, you know, famous artists or acknowledged artists. So I've never been, just because the tickets are so expensive and they're sold out. I don't know how much it costs, but I just refuse. Some museums are free and you get much more inspiration and you get out of the frenzy of what's going on. Then there's Felix. Felix is a commercial endeavor. They call it a boutique fair. It's smaller and still kind of like has some good galleries, and they have been hosting it at the Roosevelt Hotel. I've never been. I don't know how much the tickets are.
They're around 40, I think, last I saw.
Okay, well, that's not too bad. I think it's crazy, but it's not 100 and something or 90 that you pay for freeze to just go see art, because you cannot do anything else. No one will talk to you because the paintings are essentially pre-sold. And then there is the Spring Break Art Show, and it went last night in Culver City. It's a smaller fair that's very much focused on not even galleries, people who curate other artists. And I think it started in New York, and they also landed in LA a few years ago. And it was my first time there. The tickets were $40. I don't know the weekend tickets. But my point, I felt like, as Roofless Painters, we needed to go in at least to one of the fairs and report back to you guys and see what's the state of affairs. Because, yeah, I think that's important. So the Spring Break Art Fair is more experimental. It's supposed to have like crazier installations and be completely out there, and the projects and what people bring in. Well, we're happy to report that 90% of the fair was painting. And of all the painting, another 90% was representational painting. And within the representational painting, there were very classic subjects. There were flower still lifes, there were landscapes, there were portraits. So there was such a great inspirational thing to realize that out of the art fairs that are landing in LA this weekend, supposedly the most radical and edgy and out there had ton of painting, and it was representational. So just, not that we needed any validation, but I think it was nice to sort of like see that there were pretty paintings. There were pretty paintings. Everyone was under the age of 30. I was the oldest person in that warehouse. But people talked to me, so that was nice. And you get approached. So if you go to one of the fairs, go to Spring Break Art Show. If you can, go to all of them and report back. If you have some friends that can give you passes, go to Freeze. And then a very important opening this Saturday that you should put on the calendar. I don't know if I'll be able to go, but I'll try. Jeffrey Deitch, or Jeffrey Deitch, or I don't know how to pronounce his last name. He was a director of the MoCA Museum at some point until he got fired and just started this amazing gallery, the Jeffrey Deitch Gallery. He has curated some pretty spectacular shows, and the gallery is in essentially Hollywood. There is a show, a group show inspired by Monet's painting of the Breakfast on the Grass, the painting that some consider the beginning of the official kickstart of Impressionism, in which a few artists are mingling with models in one of the forests, in one of the woods of Paris. So, and I think that also made me very happy, because here is one of the most famous galleries in LA just putting together a show inspired by a painting from 1860 or 1860 1860, I believe, 1860 something. So some of the most talked about contemporary artists have created versions, their versions of the Breakfast on the Grass. I think it was Breakfast on the Grass, and I think it was Monet, right? I should know that. It was Monet, right, Jen? I think so.
Monet, or was it Renoir, maybe?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't think so, but maybe.
Is it the one? Oh, let me look it up and I can tell you. Breakfast on.
I think it's Breakfast on the. I'm not sure, but I think it's Breakfast on the Grass, but I'm not sure.
Breakfast on the Grass painting. Manet.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I think I'm going to approach them. I'm going to approach the gallery, and maybe we could just do our own version in the gallery. See, I don't know how open they are because they're a little bit snobbish. But it would be interesting to find a location to paint. And maybe that could be a theme.
I love it. What a great idea.
For spring. So I'm kind of like building the darks, darker to lighter. Always, if you can, try to set your strong dark areas first. There will be the pivot points where you can always expand. So yeah, and I just did a few brushstrokes here. I am going to continue. I think I'm still with first color notes, trying to get the shaded color darker to lighter. Don't worry about what this looks like. That's not what we should be focusing on. I know that it's easier said than done, but so yeah, really slowly. And on that note, I read this we read this on Tuesday, but I feel like it's important to remind ourselves because there are a couple of excerpts from the book that we're reading that I feel like they're very important. And hopefully we'll be able to point out why they're so important. So this is a chapter that talks about the act of painting and the beginning of painting, and essentially agreeing that the beginning is the most important and the most difficult part. But essentially there's this sentence that we really like. An artist, what an artist knows is principally what will happen in the next second, not the next hour or the next month. So it was nice to read that, you know, you make things as you go, and we will only know what will happen when we actually put the first brushstroke. Do we have an idea of what this will look like? We don't. And I feel like that's important because sometimes we panic, we get frustrated, and we get insecure because we are summoning ideas and visions of what this painting is going to end up looking like. And to me, the sentence brings me down to just worry about what you see in the exact moment that you lay down. Don't make any decisions. Don't come to any conclusions, because we don't know what will happen in the next hour. So it was such a relief to kind of like read this. And then The other one is kind of like related, or essentially very related. No painter knows what the picture will look like, and those painters who try hard to use paint to realize an idea are typically disappointed. Like poetry or any other creative enterprise, painting is something that is worked out in the making, and the work and its maker exchange ideas and change one another. So just for that, you guys should get this book and have it as a side Bible, because it's only one page, and it actually painting Bible, if I use the religious analogy. It's only one page, but it's really it really communicates important messages about not anticipating results, because that's the problem with painting. We get really frustrated by looking at what we have achieved and thinking that that doesn't match the idea that we have. Instead of continuing working on it, doesn't give you any solutions and solve any problems at all, but it kind of like reframes the idea of creating in a way that makes you less responsible for what you're doing, and at the same time responsible only to continue working. So it's a huge paradigm shift for me to read this and then see myself working, and even sort of like trying to communicate what to expect of the painting process. So it was really good. Okay, so I'm kind of like working on that. So my strategy, so we have like half an hour. So I'm gonna try to build some detail on the rest of the parts of the figure, the hands and the shoes. And maybe I'm gonna time myself 15 minutes for that. And then the other 15 minutes, I wanna work on points of contact and shadows, because based on how easy was to achieve this idea of being on the ground, based on the slight charcoal shadows that we added when we were shading, I feel like that could be something that could help the whole painting become super integrated. So did you find the painting? I think you did, right, Jen? Yes. Is it the Breakfast in the Grass, or is it something else?
Breakfast in the Grass, I believe. Actually, I don't know. I just Googled. That's what I Googled. Did you want me to post it?
I think so.
Okay. Yes, I believe it's Breakfast. Yeah. Les Déjeuners sur la Herbe. I know I'm butchering that, but that is Breakfast in the Grass. I actually saw this painting in the D'Orsay.
Oh, wow.
It was
Nice.
stunning, as you can imagine.
Scandalous painting at the time. Scandalous painting.
Scandalous, indeed.
I think it's worth mentioning that at that time, women were not allowed to go to clubs, and they were not allowed to be in public without a companion. And the women that we see in the Toulouse-Lautrecs and all this kind of like a French Parisian clubs, they were essentially sex workers. So some people look at this painting, some art historians, and say that this revolutionary interaction between different genders in the same image, some argue that those models were sex workers, because they were the only women allowed to do this in public with other men. And I think people talk about the Impressionism and romanticize it a little bit too much, because there were a lot of women artists, as we know, who also created amazing, revolutionary, more so in certain cases than their male counterparts. And they are being sort of like cataloged as domestic painters or painters of domestic scenes. And nobody mentions that it wasn't their choice. Not like they didn't want to paint babies and little girls in fancy living rooms, but they quite literally couldn't go to clubs and paint people. They were not allowed to. I love Berthe Morisot, one of the only or one of the few known female painters of the time, Impressionists. And I know I love one painting that we talked about, that we were talking about cerulean blue and how she used it before anyone else, before it was commercially available. And she has a painting in a boat on a lake, painting a friend. Well, and it's gorgeous and bucolic and picturesque and everything. But no one talks about the fact that they had to actually isolate themselves from everyone else in a boat circled by water in order to do this painting. So this was both an act of plein air and at the same time a way of not getting bothered by authorities questioning them, people just accusing them of something they were not, and just kind of like being safe painting outside. And that's another reason why I think that that painting is very significant. I'm going to do the sole of the shoes.
So Julio, I was wrong. It's actually Luncheon in the Grass. I just wanted to come on recorded saying the correct title for posterity.
Which is the title of this show at the Jeffrey Ditch Gallery, Luncheon in the Grass.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's why I didn't find it. Is that still the name of the gallery?
Jeffrey Ditch, or German Dietch.
Ditch. Oh, okay. Then maybe I have the wrong spellings. Okay.
We looked at this gallery like before, and it was a little bit.
Yeah, I remember the work being gorgeous. Yeah.
So as far as I'm concerned, I am working on first color notes still. So I'm trying to create more of a pixelated approach, but I'm still doing those two main things that we talked about when we introduced first color notes. Number one, liquid drawing, or wet drawing. Wet drawing, meaning like, essentially, I need to plug this. 1 second. I'm essentially, resketching some of the edges. And number two, color direction. So I'm processing some paint and getting aligned. I wouldn't say close or anything like that. Getting aligned with some of the temperatures and values of colors that I see. I'm not doing second color notes. I don't think I'll be able to do second color notes, to be honest. But that's okay, because I already feel like pretty strongly that I'm on the right track. meaning like, I just have already a lot of definition. Yeah, and I'm just gonna continue spending a little bit of time. It's interesting because today for a gallery or for a gallery, or if you're participating in a fair like the Spring Break Art Show, which is curatorial base, and that means a gallery, I mean, an art fair is an art fair. Essentially, the art fair approaches the gallery and they say, hey, we like you. Do you want to be part of our little VIP club? This is how much it's going to cost you. And the gallery says, oh, okay, I want to be associated with you. And that's essentially how it works. With the Spring Break Art Show, they did like an open call. They say anyone who wants to show in the next fair needs to submit a curatorial project, which means you say that on your little booth, you're going to show this artist, this artist, this artist, and that artist, and everything's going to be tied up under the project of, or under the concept of whatever, portraiture or gender or political, whatever is your concept. So my point is that for a gallery like this major gallery, for someone in the gallery to say, okay, we're going to plan a show and this is going to be our curatorial project. We're going to propose that all the artists that we work with do a version of Luncheon in the Grass. It just kind of like doesn't make sense, because galleries always try to be edgy and contemporary and do something that has never been done before. And this has never been done before. But it's not the typical approach of the art world, looking back to do something new. So it'll be interesting to see what the artist did for this, to bring such a quintessentially European modern painting that kind of like marked the beginning of the century, essentially, and create something around it in 2022. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna bring some white, and then time-wise, I still have like 4 minutes, and I said 15 to do some details, and then the other 15, I'm gonna work on the background. So I'm gonna stick with that approach. And I wanna get a little bit of a shape definition of those shoes. Squint your eyes. It's always a good idea to squint your eyes. Yeah, I think so. I'm just going to use this. Okay, good. And I'm going to blur. I'm going to blur this. Just don't worry about the look of your painting at this stage. And circling back to that sentence, we only know what's going to happen in the next second. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes. So it just gives us an opportunity to free ourselves from overthinking too much about what we're doing right now should really look like. Okay, so I'm just gonna continue. The shoes are really important, so I'm just gonna continue with the shoes. By the way, Jen, I went to the Blue Rooster in Pasadena.
How was that meeting?
It was amazing. So our friends from Artisan Craftsman Supply uh, just lost their jobs before the pandemic because um, the building had a legal issue, and you know, at the end, they had to shut. One of the customers of that building sued the art store for something. They didn't tell me for what, but one of their customers sued the art store.
What?
Yeah, so they took him to court, and apparently there was such a, the landlord got involved with such a mess that the reason why they shut down the store, it wasn't because of business related stuff. It was because there was this mess going on.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
I wonder if we can find, I wonder if it's on like public.
Maybe they didn't tell me. So everyone working there lost their jobs essentially.
Oh
no,
gosh.
they didn't. They actually went to the, some of them went to the Artisan Craftsman in downtown.
Right.
But then I don't know if you remember Monica and Farah.
Yeah.
So they somehow started working for Blue Rooster, the art store in Silver Lake. And art stores, by the way, it's one of the business that probably did best during the pandemic, because you know they've never had more business than before, than ever. So the owner of Blue Rooster gave them carte blanche to build the art store. It's in Colorado, so it's a nice area from the ground up. The two of them.
Wow.
And they did an amazing job. The owner leased the space, and then it's a beautiful art store. And in the back, there is a room that they want to turn into a classroom.
Great.
And so, yeah, it's beautiful. I think we need to find out who lives close to Pasadena or on that area, because apparently people go into the store and they ask for art classes constantly. So that could be a new location. I propose also to do an art show, a pop-up art show, and they said yes, they would love that.
Amazing.
So okay, so I want to do so much more. I'm going to do it. The background can't wait, because I love the white, and I think this could be a good opportunity at this time to introduce or to bring in some pastel notes, white paint, highlights. It took us a while to understand why it's a good idea to hold off on white when you paint. And the reason why it took us a while is because we were mostly versed in acrylic. And in acrylic, it doesn't matter when you use white. You could use it at the beginning, you could use it at the end, you could use it in between. We never made a distinction. We never talked about it. We never, and it's, as a matter of fact, I never understood why people didn't use white until later. I thought it was kind of like a snobbish thing. When we switched to oil, we completely understood the reason why. Because if you have, it's easier to put white on top of wet layers than the other way around. And we all experience this when we paint. We do something lighter, we try to make it darker, it doesn't work. The white paint pushes you out, doesn't want you to darken that area. You have two options. Wait until it's dry or wipe it off. So that's the reason why holding off on white when using oil makes sense. Wait until a little bit later, start with your darks, and then you can slowly bring in lighter notes. And it's sort of like, I have to say, having experienced both oil and acrylic, these little kind of like tweaks and processes with oil, I feel like they make the process much more orderly and organic. I can, at first it's like I feel impatient, because with oil, you cannot do whatever you want whenever you want it. And that is good and bad, you know, because with acrylic, you can do whatever you want at any time, and that could be bad. But with oil, it requires a certain thoughtful, I wouldn't say structure, but organic process. And I think that makes you more, if I dare to say, it makes you a more mature painter in the best sense of the word, by the way. And speaking for myself, by the way, also very important. Okay, I'm kind of like doing some anatomical details on the face. Do I need to do that right now? I don't. Why am I doing it then? What do I need to prove? Okay, I'm just gonna stop right now. I think that's enough. So I'm gonna stick to the original idea, spend some time with the background. So point of contact and shadows. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna build shadows. First of all, I have shadows already here. So I'm gonna start cleaning up this area and making it lighter. Because I know if I do that, immediately it's gonna create the idea of light direction and cast shadow or point of contact. So I'm gonna bring some white. Actually. And kind of like blend the paint on top. Did you find the gallery, Jen, by any chance? No.
I did, and I posted the poster.
Okay, what do you think?
Oh my gosh, I want to go on Saturday. I'm going to be out and about for a bridesmaid's dress fitting. So I'm gonna stop by before, because of the openings tomorrow from 11 to 7. So I think I'm gonna try to jump by.
You will be in the right place at the right time, because it's a scene, all right?
Oh, the names alone of the people showing.
If you want to,
moly.
Right, if you want to experience like LA, the fancy kind of like go to this opening, it's just, it looks really good.
Should I like dress up, Julio, or is that gauche? Okay. No, okay, good.
No.
So our artists are my people.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like super edgy and kind of like cool and stuff.
Cool's not a problem. Clearly.
It's a scene. It's eye candy, you know, it's a scene.
Yeah, well, I'll be by myself, so I'll probably be in and out. But
even if it's in and out, it feels like a club. It's like, you know, you will love it.
Okay, good. I love a scene.
Love it.
Ooh, I'm excited now. Now I must go.
Yeah. Park, pop in, 5 minutes, leave.
Yeah. Oh, yes. the
That's it.
coolest way to do
Yeah, yeah.
it.
And silly art if you can.
Right.
But
I can see it.
yeah, essentially that's um, I'm gonna try. I don't know, but I'll be curious about. We got the gallery space is beautiful, about the scale of the paintings, um, the level of realism. Uh, these are the things that I'm interested in. When I kind of like look at this from the perspective of my practice. Um, yeah, and then group shows are great, and we know that because when we paint together and we create artwork, you could really find much more value in each individual's work being part of a wide range of styles. So it's so fun to see diversity in interpretation, because then you could learn more about yourself by understanding what you gravitate towards, what you like, what's your favorite. Um, and it's a gallery that, even though it's like a little bit pretentious, most artists will be there for the opening. So I have talked to artists right there, and they're approachable. And it's a great way to really connect with people, with artists, and ask them, I don't know, it's nice. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of shadow on that side. A little bit of shadow on that side. And the white, or I didn't use white paint, but I used, or maybe I did. So it's kind of like repelling my dark brush, dark paint. So here's that sort of like issue with dark nose. Okay, I don't know why Siri, it's popping up. Sometimes Siri pops up and I don't say Siri. Did you know this? You can change the gender and the accent of Siri. And I made him British and a guy.
Nice.
But with Alexa, you cannot change the gender.
Oh, interesting.
The name, the gender, and I think the name, you can change the name, but you cannot change the accent. Or why is that? I mean, I don't have anything against anything, but someone, we were having a discussion and someone was proposing and saying how young kids are going to pick up on how we talk to a female voice, and how that in unconspicuous way, how is it gonna play out? We are commanding to a little machine to do things for us that happens to be a female, a voice, and we associate it with a voice. What is that going to do with kids?
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting conversation, by the way.
It's a very interesting conversation. People are so smart.
Wow. Yeah.
So one of my best friends is named Alexa, and years ago, before the Alexa was around, she was a bartender, and she was serving this guy, and he was, was maybe his second drink, and so he said, or she said something like, "I'm Alexa if you need anything," and he said, "I'm sorry, what is your name?" And she said, "Alexa," and he said, "Wow, that's so crazy. I've been working on this huge project for years now. And the name of the product is Alexa. That's just so wild." And sure enough.
Oh my gosh, no way.
Isn't that crazy? And, and she was still a bartender. She's not anymore, but she was still a bartender when it came out. And she was like, it was the worst. because all of her regulars were like, hey, Alexa, like suddenly, and,
Yeah.
the way that we, like you said, the way we talk to Alexa and the way we talk to Siri.
Yeah.
And she was like already, being a bartender for a certain clientele is really difficult. And then to give them this fodder is like beyond anything you want to experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So interesting. Thanks for sharing that. So, okay, we have a couple of minutes. I have a couple of minutes. So I think I'm going to start like bringing a little bit of a conclusion here. I feel like I'm at a point where I feel happy about the figure, but I'm not 100% satisfied with the figure being on the ground. I think I will need to do the linear net, the net on the different pieces of like stone on the ground. Because I feel like right now it's kind of like floating and it doesn't have like a sense of being grounded. So I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I know that that's something that needs to happen. I'm okay with the composition and the location and the space. I feel like I want to give more detail to the face a little bit, but not too much. And I think the shoes need to be a little bit more defined to give this idea of perspective. But I think at this point, I'm going to leave it at this. This will be my stage today. As we know, having 2 weeks to work on this feels so great because it provides enough time to go back to it a few times. My average, this will be painting number 4 of 2022, which feels so nice because I don't feel overwhelmed. We concluded, I'm about to finish the oranges, so I caught up with all the assignments. There's something about having accomplished that feels really good. So we encourage you to try to dedicate some time to conclude a task, a painting task, because you will have a rewarding sense of fulfillment. So my average has been 4 times. So a second time developed it a lot more. A third time brought some details, and then I needed like the 4th time to bring it all together. But that's me. Some people kind of like knock it down in 1 session and be fine with it, and it looks amazing. But I just, in these past like 3 sessions or 3 paintings, I realized that my average intervention has been 4 go back in times. So we're gonna pause for 10 minutes, 1:15 here, so 1:25. And then we'll stop the recording right now, and then we'll open the microphones if you want to exchange and share. Laura, we hope you give us a report on the soap. And then everyone else, I know that some people had to leave and don't feel obligated. You don't have to follow any etiquette to drop out and leave, but we would love to have the opportunity to chat with you. So we'll see you at 1:25.